When I hear the name Jason Voorhees, I think of a little girl in a pink dress, putting a hot dog through a donut. When I hear the name Jason Goes to Hell, I think of an inferior sequel that shouldn't exist. Now let's talk about it. Welcome to another Horror Franchise Wednesday. We're 9 movies in already. Time has flown by. Feels like yesterday I was talking about the first one. But here we are talking about part 9. Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. 2 in one franchise. That's unheard of. Usually some franchises have the one entry that says final or last. This is a franchise that has 2 of them. And then they went on to make more. So it's just funny that this has 2 of them now that say final. So Sean S. Cunningham came back to produce. This is the first one he produced since the first one, I believe. I don't think he had any hand in part 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. He left the franchise. He went to do the House movies and whatnot with Kane Hodder also. And Kane Hodder got to play Jason for a 3rd time without even begging to do it again. They just came to him immediately because Adam Marcus and Sean S. Cunningham wanted him back. They thought he was Jason. So, and they gave him a pay raise again. So he's making more money for less time in this film because he has like 5 minutes of screen time tops. And he has a little cameo, and so does Adam Marcus, and so does the other writer, Dean Lorey. So on and so forth. So, plot synopsis, this movie is about Jason being taken out by a SWAT team and police officers, and then his heart and body and remains are taken to a morgue, and a mortician eats his heart and becomes possessed by the spirit of Jason and goes on a killing spree trying to find his sister, who was never mentioned before, because he needs to kill her, because only through a Voorhees can a Voorhees be reborn, or Jason, or whatever it is. That's the story. Alright, so this is a body swapping movie. It's kind of like The Hidden, that Adam Marcus said he never saw, but is that true? I don't know. This is very much like The Hidden. So, this one's an interesting one. This is a very controversial film. Most people hate it, but there's a small cult following slowly growing over the years for this film. It's got 24% Rotten Tomatoes, and I agree, it's 24 at best. Not a fan. This is the one I've seen the least. I've probably seen this 4 times in my life now, and 2 of those times within the last month. I watched it when I was marathoning these a few weeks ago, and then I watched it in preparation for this review. So about 2 other times I saw this before that. And this was like that. This was like Halloween 3, that experience I had. The first time I saw this, it was like, where's Jason? Just like with Halloween 3, it's like, where's Michael? Very similar experience, but here's the difference. Halloween 3 is a whole new movie that acknowledges that it's not Halloween. They even have Halloween on the television. Like, hey, Michael's not going to be in this, all right? It's a new story completely, and they're not going to pretend like they're a Michael Myers movie. This one pretends like it's a Jason Voorhees movie, but it's not, all right? It just isn't. I'm all for being different and going in new directions, but you don't get rid of the heart and soul of the franchise while you do that. It would be like remaking Child's Play with a killer dwarf instead of a killer doll, and be like, well, it's similar-ish, right? No, it's not. It's completely different. So, anyways, Adam Marcus wrote and directed this with Dean Lorey, and went on to write Texas Chainsaw 3D. I'm not familiar with all his credits, but that's a recent one I know about. And he is the youngest director that New Line Cinema ever hired at that point. He was 24 or 5, he was my age when he was making this movie. Christ, what have I achieved? Nothing. So, K&B did the effects for this movie, and it's so apparent when you watch it because they are spectacular. Great effects, as always. So, this is an interesting Jason look. It looks like Michael Myers. He has like a mechanic outfit, like all one blue suit. I'm not sure where he got that outfit. That's not what he was wearing in part 8. So I'm not sure where he got it, and this was the most difficult makeup that Kane Hodder ever had to wear because the mask is like sewn into the face. It's like a part of it, which is kind of a cool concept. I just wish the makeup looked better. And fun little fact, there's a scene where a demon Jason little worm goes inside another character's vagina, and that actress had no idea until she saw it at the theaters, and she was disgusted. So, yeah. And then the Jason vocals in this movie were done by Adam Marcus himself. So, let's get into this movie. What are the positives that I could say about Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday? They couldn't say Friday the 13th because they didn't buy the rights to that. They only bought the rights to Jason Voorhees, and they don't even use him. He's in this movie for like 4 minutes. I would like to like count it, like have a stopwatch and actually count how long Jason's on screen, beginning and end, because he's only in the bookends. I bet it's a cumulative, like the same amount of time that he's in part 5 and like Tommy's like visions. Same amount of time. I shit you not. But what are the good things I can say about this movie that I almost despise? It uses the score from the first one quite a bit. I enjoy that. I liked the opening. I would prefer if this is how the movie ended, instead of going down that weird route that it goes after this open. I wish it would just stop there. Maybe build up to that awesome scene where Jason finally gets his, gets demolished by all these cops. It's like, finally, somebody is taking charge and killing his ass for once, like blowing him to pieces. Because that's something you always ask in all these movies. It's like, they always just simply stab him. Why don't they just blow him up and hack him to pieces? Maybe he can't get back up then. They finally do that in this movie, but it doesn't do jack shit to Jason. He's so indestructible that even being blown up won't kill him because he's an assassin from hell. Oh, God. So anyways, like the score. Opening's cool. And I also like Kane Hodder's cameo. It was just nice to see him and hear him call his character a pussy. And I like some of the TNA in this movie. This movie has a lot of sex. It also has a lot of guy butt for the ladies. And the gore effects by K&B are spectacular. There's bodies melting. There's worms coming out of mouths and shit. And people being split open. Oh, shit! Let me! I also like some of the humor throughout, especially by the characters Creighton Duke and the main lead, who was the main guy in the Friday the 13th TV series. I like those two characters the most. They had the most humor and wit, and just their back and forth, even in the cell when they're together. He's like breaking his fingers for some dumbass reasons. Like, you want him to help you kill Jason, but you're going to break his fingers? That's kind of counterproductive. So dumb. But I like their humor, so I was actually having a little chuckle every now and then. It's not that funny, but I was just kind of laughing at how absurd the movie got. And especially that shaving scene. What the fuck is up with that? I guess I'd be screwed. He would have to shave me, right? Like, how clean shaven do you need to be to transfer souls? I don't know. And I like that this movie, I'll give it credit. I don't like it, but I'll give it credit for trying something different. I'm all for trying something different as long as it works. Good example would be the Child's Play remake. That's something different. They got rid of the voodoo thing and they did AI, technology, gone wrong. The safety parameters were messed with. That's different, but they kept a lot of the elements from the original that we all know and love. There's a killer doll throughout the movie. There's no killer Jason throughout this movie. There's just possessed people. It's not the same thing. But I'll give them credit for trying something, for trying to bring this franchise in a new direction and doing something that's a breath of fresh air to a lot of people. A little palate cleanser for some after part 8, which was just awful for some. But this one's also awful, so it's not like this is going to rinse the taste of part 8 out of your mouth. It's like drinking diarrhea that rinse out shit. This is diarrhea. All right, it's bad. So let's get into my cons. I know I sound like a dick now, but I just don't like this movie. Even if I look at it like a body swapping, just regular horror movie that's not Friday the 13th, it's just fine. But as a Friday the 13th movie, this can go to hell, like the title suggests, because it's not a Friday the 13th movie. All right, let's get that settled. All right, argument over. I win. All right, this is just, it's not. So the look of Jason, it's awful. I don't like it. All right, all bubbly and shit. I guess that's supposed to be because of part 8, the acid, maybe? I don't know. There's no continuity, so there's another negative. 1 through 8, such great continuity with the location of Jason from the last movie. Like, every movie picked up where his body was last left, whether it was the barn at the end of part 3, or it was in the bottom of the lake at part 6 and 7. They always picked up perfectly after the other one. Not this one. It's like, he's just back. No explanation needed. So, not a fan of that at all. I wish we would have gotten an explanation. I heard there is a novelization, like a comic book or something, that explains what happened between 8 and 9. It kind of like ties them together and how he came back and got his new outfit and whatnot. I don't know. How did he get his new mask? His mask was destroyed at the end of part 8. It was melted in acid. Not a fan of the look at all, and not a fan of this movie. So, yeah, I already talked about it. It's not a Friday the 13th movie. There's not enough Jason. He's only in the bookends. He's at the very beginning. He's at the very end. A couple minutes of screen time in both. And they sprinkle him for like 2 seconds here and there and like reflections, like some kind of reverse vampire. You don't need that. Like, that was just bumming me out every time I saw that reflection, because I was trying to like get myself out of the mindset of this being a Friday the 13th movie and trying to look at it as something else. And then a reflection of Jason would pop up, and I'm like, oh shit, that's right, this is a Jason movie. No, just take those reflections out. It's so stupid, and it's so illogical. How do you explain that? You're asking me to stretch disbelief even further with that crap. So yeah, just not enough Jason. Bye-bye the continuity. Jason is now a demon from hell. He was just a deformed child who had an unfortunate accident and then came back for revenge. Now he's a assassin from hell. He's a demon. Has a weird heart that can turn into a worm thing and can crawl into a pussy and then just build up and just turn into a 40-year-old man again. Like, however old Jason is, I'm not sure. But yeah, like, he just goes into the vagina and then he comes out full form in his outfit and mask, all ugly, all over again. That makes no sense. And I don't like that he's no longer like the local legend either. It's just, it takes away. I mean, I get it. You know, I mean, you're 9 films in. He's killed how many people? They say like 84 in this movie on that news broadcast. So I guess it would become like this national thing. But what was always fun about the other movies was that he was just a local thing, and people would come into town and then they would talk about Camp Crystal Lake, and then the record would screech like, what? Nobody talks about Camp Blood. Now that's all just taken away. He's just like this national phenomena, and everyone knows his name. And they're making like hockey mask burgers as if that makes sense, and that's just pointless. No one's going to see that burger when they're eating it. No one's going to notice that it looks like a hockey mask underneath the bun. And it's not going to look like a hockey mask after you bake it or burn it or grill it, whatever. So that's just another dumb thing. the hockey mask burgers. So Drake or Duke or whatever the hell he calls himself, Creighton Duke, this character is just, how does he know so much? It's just lazily written. Like, he's just been around for how many years? How many years has he known about Jason and his whereabouts and how to kill him? How long has he known this information? And he just seems to be everywhere at the right place at the right time, and somehow can beat people to certain places and steal babies even though they had a head start. It's just little conveniences throughout that I noticed. It's just like, okay, come on. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to bitch too much. I'm not a fan of this movie. So, final thoughts. This is not a good Friday the 13th movie, but it's a fine body-swapping horror movie with some good practical effects and some good gore here and there. Got some TNA. Checks some of the Friday the 13th boxes, but it's not a good Friday the 13th movie. There's hardly any Jason, and he looks ugly when you do see him. So, when it comes to Friday the 13th Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell, this movie, to me, is just wasted time. Now let's get into the spoiler discussion. So this movie opens up with a girl who just seems like she's just your typical teenage girl victim about to get taken out by Jason, but nope, she's an FBI agent, and that was a risky move. I mean, she could have gotten killed. What was their plan then? And how Jason then, like, hear them setting up all that shit, not even that far into the woods. Like, those are his woods. He didn't hear all that equipment moving out there, them setting up all those lights, stringing up all the ropes so they could, like, rappel down and shit. They had to make some noise going out there. So, like, how he didn't hear them, whatever. But then he gets blown up, and his heart and his body gets transferred to Youngstown, Ohio. Like, they flew his body to Ohio from New Jersey for some reason. Was there an explanation given? I don't know. I didn't hear it, so that just makes no sense at all. And then we get Kane Hodder as a cameo.
Hey, so Doc, what's the verdict? Jason can be getting up and walking around anytime soon?
We really nailed that fucker.
He wasn't nothing but a big old pussy anyway.
Then he eats his heart. And this is when the movie goes south and keeps going south until it hits Mexico. This is just ridiculous. Like, was he hypnotized? That's how I read it. Like, when it was happening, it just seemed like, you know, the way he, like, hard blinked and he was like, there's something about that heart. I just want to eat it. Like, was he drawn to it? Like, just no longer there? It somehow took over his body. So what, Jason now has the ability to possess people, like, without them even touching his body? He made him eat his heart? Or he was just so pissed off that the heart was still beating. He's like, God damn you, heart, I'll make you stop beating, and started eating it. It could be one of those two reasons. I'm not sure which one, honestly. I'll go with the possession one, maybe, because the eating one just is a little too convenient for the plot. So, and then the other guy who's the writer of the movie, one of them, gets the probe to the back, hits his head on the thing so hard that his face starts to go through the holes in the table. Then Kane Hodder gets killed himself off camera. All these orange, like, beams coming out of him. Oh, God, so dumb. Like, did we need that visual aid to know what was going on? It's like, okay, we get it. Like, he's being possessed. We don't need the visual aid. So, yeah. So, this is, like, the only Jason movie where Jason seems to have feelings. Like, his feelings are getting hurt. Really? Like, when the one mortician's, like, calling him a maggoty old bitch, he's, like, offended by it. And then when Kane Hodder calls him a pussy, he, like, does, like, a double take. Like, wait, what? You call me what? Like, Jason has feelings now? It's like, you hurt my feelings.
How you doing, you fat-ass, maggoty, blown-up fuck? Suck this! Suck it.
And then we get our first glimpse of Jason's reflection in the mirror. It's stupid. And then the TV shows the dead bodies. Like, they show a live broadcast of all the dead bodies at the mortician's office. Like, isn't that illegal? I'm not sure. I haven't looked it up. I could, but I'm lazy. But I could have swore it was illegal to just show dead bodies and people dying on the news, broadcasting, like, prime time for families at home to see. Like, you can't do that. I'm pretty sure. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Who cares? I just want to bring it up. You know, it's just a question I have. Can you do that? I'm pretty sure that's illegal. So this one finally gives us a age to go off of when Jason drowned, like how old he was. He was 11, so now we know. And they actually do make mention of his father being Elias, and that was something that got taken out of part 6, but now it's back. And we meet Duke, and he's like, I think of a little girl in a pink dress and putting a hot dog through a donut when I hear Jason Voorhees. And then he, like, quotes Jaws. It's like, $500,000. I'll give you the mask, the machete, the whole damn thing. And so we got the Voorhees burgers. It's dumb. And then we get, like, all these little, you know, name drops, kind of like in part 6, where they're like, oh, it's on Cunningham Road. Oh, it's by the Myers place. I like that there's this group of teens that when they hear that Jason is officially dead, they're like, oh, great, we can go back to the lake and skinny dip and do drugs and have sex because he's gone. Yay! And, like, when the guy picks them up, he's like, oh, so you guys are going to go do drugs, have sex, and get slaughtered? It's like a little self-referential joke. I like how the redhead doesn't even scream when she's being attacked. And I like how these two girls have, like, the quickest piss sessions I've ever seen on film. Like, they squat down, and it's not even, like, 3 seconds, and they're back up. Like, I'm done. Then they're going to have sex, and this couple, they were a real couple in real life before this, and they broke up. And then they got this role, and they were like, oh, shit, I have to have sex with my ex. That had to be awkward. And, like, they're really naked on top of each other. Like, you see his bare ass, he's on top of her, they're fucking. That would be very awkward to break up with someone. And then you're in a movie with that someone, and you have to, like, have a very, like, gratuitous sex scene with them, butt-ass naked, pretending like you love them again. And then she just gets the fence post right through the back, slices her up in half, like she just falls. Oh, awesome. great practical effects. And if you see the extended, like unrated version, it's even longer, a few extra frames here and there. Blood just squirting. And then he gets this, like, his face crushed. You just hear it, but you don't see it. So that's unfortunate. I'm not sure why. I like that he steps on the condom that they refuse to use. Man, this mustache cop guy has a girlfriend that's way out of his league. And then she's like, get in the car, hurry up. And then she's just hanging out at this outside of her car for like a good 10 seconds so that Jason can walk up and smash her head against the door. It's like, get in the car. You're telling him to hurry up? What about you? And then we get the shaving scene. I have no idea why this is happening. The guy's all like bonded. It's like bondage. He's just tied up and he's butt-ass naked. Why he has to be naked? Like, he doesn't have to be naked. Jason, after this guy, is not naked when he gets into the mortician, when he gets into the news broadcaster guy, when he gets into the other cop. They're never naked. But this guy is. That's inconsistent as fuck. And then he has to get shaved. The black mortician guy had big old Steve Harvey mustache. So what was the difference then? It's just silly. It's so random. And this movie just feels like there's so much missing too. It just goes all over the place. You're like, wait, what? This is happening now? Like, what happened to them? And how did this person get here? It just feels like there's so many scenes missing from this film. It just doesn't make sense why he had to shave his mustache. It's never explained. It's just silly. I guess that's the scene for the ladies. So then Diana, who is Jason's sister, we get that revealed. She dies, and her acting when she's dying is just awful. Go, save Jessica. And then she just can't spit out the word baby. And, like, she, like, restarts. Like, you only have so much energy to spit out, like, 2 more words. Why would you waste it on repeating what you just fucking said? Oh, just say the baby. Like, it's so dumb. And then, like, her being a sister is dumb, too. Like, it's completely ignoring what was established already in part 1. When Mrs. Voorhees, who wasn't Pamela at the time, just Mrs. Voorhees, when she's like, you know, Jason, my only child, not my only son, child. There's a difference. So this is just completely ignoring that, just to serve their purpose for the plot. You know, it's like, we gotta have the sister. We get like a little Halloween moment in this movie when the cop jumps out the window, and then later on he looks out the window, his body's missing. He's like, he's gone. He's still out there. And then Duke, he knows way too much information. How does he know all this shit? We'll never know. We need like a spin-off with just his character so we can find out how he got to that point and got all that information. Who did he talk to? Zoltar or some fucking gypsy who gave him all the information? I don't know. I like how they misspelled Voorhees on the mailbox. Just 1 O. V-O-R. It's double O. So that's insulting as well. And, like, why would you break his fingers? It's just so dumb. Like, what's he trying to do? See how tough he is? Like, is this guy tough enough to take on Jason? Let me test him. But he's not going to be capable of killing Jason. You said so yourself. Only a Voorhees can kill a Voorhees. Why are you breaking his fingers? Because you're a sadistic fuck. And then the Pamela house, still vacant after decades of her being dead. Why is it still there with all her shit inside? Pretty big place too, so she was making a lot of money for someone who was just a cook at a camp. I'm not sure what Elias was doing to make money, but that's overanalyzing, so we'll just drop that. Yeah, pretty big place. And the news anchor, he's like, yeah, so what? I took her mom's corpse from the morgue, and then I fucked her daughter. Something like that. It's just like, wow, this guy's cold. He stole his girlfriend, who he's like just recently with, I believe. Stole his girlfriend's recently deceased mother's body, dragged it to her place, hid it in the basement for a profit later on. He's hoping to make money off of his show by having the body there. And then he goes and fucks his girlfriend later on. Like, he's just bragging about it on the phone. Like, yeah, so what? I fucked her daughter too. He's an asshole, and then he gets killed right after that. And we see a couple of references to other big horror movies. We got the Necronomicon for like Evil Dead 2, and we got the crate from Creepshow. I like that little moment between the cop and the final guy, I don't know his name, Steven, when they're like, I have a gun. He's like, fuck that, I have a gun too. It's just a funny moment. And then they all have Connecticut licenses, which makes no sense if this is supposed to be in Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio, and then Camp Crystal Lake, where they're at the end of the movie, is all New Jersey. It's supposed to be, right? That's where the first one was. So Connecticut license plates, that's a mistake, I think. And then we got the cook, the store owner, Joey and B. They're a little annoying, especially Joey, if that's the chick, right? Originally, I think they were supposed to be the opposite roles, but they gave the big girl the leader role because she was just hilarious. No one's gonna touch that fucking ray of sunshine. Like, she doesn't give a fuck about that baby at first. She's like, babies look just as cute on the street. Take it outside. And then later on, she's like, no one's gonna touch that ray of sunshine. And like, she's so overprotective of it, even when the mother is there to like get it back. And she's still like, no, you can't see your own baby. It's like, bitch, I would kill her myself if I was the mother. And because she talks so much, I found it ironic that her death involves her chin and mouth being completely smushed in. Get away from me, you fucking piece of shit! Motherfucker! And the other guy gets thrown on the grill. The other guy gets his arm like snapped and the bone just pops right out. Those are always like cringy to look at. Like, oh no. Just something about bone snapping. That's what disgusts me really. Like teeth being pulled, bone snapping. That's my weakness, I've noticed. And then we get the police station massacre. These cops all suck. I like how they check the pulse of the anchor guy, even though he has a clear bullet hole in the center of his forehead. They're idiots. And then we get a similar kill to part 6 where the girl like stabs him with the pole and he like pulls her onto it and then crushes her head, reminding me of the cop in part 6. Come on, handsome. So then somehow Creighton Duke, he escaped the police station and got the baby at the diner. How he knew the baby was at the diner, who the fuck knows? But he got there before the main couple and then got to Pamela's place. And he introduces us to the dagger. It's a special dagger. And then like when she grabs it, it actually like transforms into like a special dagger. Like the red beam like wraps around it and it, like gets longer. Oh, it's so dumb. Like, did that really need to happen? It could have just looked the same. It didn't need to transform like that. And then, yeah, because that one guy dragged Diana's body there, Jason, the worm, he goes in the pussy, comes back out, all full form. But before that, like, he comes in there not as the anchor guy, but as a cop, and he's talking as the cop. Jason's never been able to speak as the anchor or the other mortician or even the cop, other cop. He couldn't speak using their vocal cords. He had his own Jason voice. Where, now he can just use his host's vocal cords and like talk like them. Like The Thing, that was just convenient for the plot there, just to make that scene work. Like, which one is it? I don't know who to shoot. That typical scenario. It was just another silly thing I have to point out. So, yeah, he's reborn as an adult in the outfit. Get the fuck out of here. And then Duke's like, remember me? So they've met? When? I don't remember him ever saying, like, I've met this guy before. That's how I know so much. So then we get, like, this little final chase that only lasts, like, a minute or two. He just keeps picking up Joey, the main boyfriend, and, like, throwing him around. Like, he just keeps picking him up, throwing him. Picking him up, throwing him. It's like, dude, just kill him. It's so convenient. You could just crush his skull right now. But you just keep throwing him at the monkey bars and shit. Like, come on, just kill him. And then she sneaks up behind him, stabs him with a dagger. All the red beams come sparkling out of him. And then he gets dragged to hell. I like that this movie lives up to the title. At least, he does get dragged to hell. And then we see the Freddy arm come out. And that was actually Kane Hodder's arm behind the scenes. So Kane Hodder got to play Freddy. And Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw 3. And we get that terrible Freddy laugh. They could have hired Robert Englund or took like sound of his laugh. But this Freddy laugh is awful. Doesn't sound like Freddy in the slightest. And this was a last second idea, I heard. And so it's like it's the final Friday and they're teasing another movie. That's just hilarious. So, yep, that's the end of the movie. Now let's get into my award ceremony. The Hockey Mask Award for Best Character will go to Creighton Duke. He's got the best lines and brings a good comedic presence to the film. And the Hanky Award for Worst Actor in this movie will go to Diana. Her death scene and the way she's acting there just gave her this award. And the hottest chick in this movie, to me, is Debbie, the tent girl, who gets the fence post through her. And the Funny Bone Award for Funniest Moment will go to this moment.
We're going to Camp Crystal Lake.
Oh, yeah? Planning on smoking a little dope, having a little premarital sex, and getting slaughtered?
And the best shot in this movie is, I guess, the taillight scene in the garage with the taillights, like, blinking, and it's like a little subtle scare that I appreciated. And the Clap Award for Best Scene will go to the Crystal Lake campers getting massacred. It's the closest thing to the Friday the 13th franchise, so that's why it's my favorite scene. And the best kill in this movie is the tent girl, Debbie, who gets stabbed with the fence post and ripped in half. And the Mr. Twig Award for Worst Kill will go to Creighton Duke because he talks so much shit, but he doesn't even put up a fight and just gets his back crushed like a bitch. What do I think about when I hear the name Creighton Duke? I think of a little bitch who got his back broke by Jason. And those are my thoughts on Friday the 13th, Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Put all your thoughts on this controversial film in the comments below. If you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button, share with all your friends, I'd really appreciate it, and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.